Hey, what's up everybody? It's Frick. I thought I would do another video for you. I haven't done one in a really long time, but I just received a new piece of equipment in the mail that I thought I would test out with you guys. I wasn't planning on doing a video about it, but I thought I would hook it up with you guys and give you a brief review and what it does. Before I get to that, since I last did my man cave video, I put in a new 65-inch screen. So from before you saw that I did most of my gaming on a projection screen, which honestly guys is not ideal. Of course, as we know, projection screens do have a limited lifespan, or projectors rather have a limited lifespan on their bulbs, and they can be quite pricey to replace. So if you do a lot of gaming, I wouldn't recommend doing it solely on a projector. I wanted to keep the projector saved for sports, as you can see, or movies. So I added in a 65-inch screen just for gaming, and I might do a little review on that TV a little later. It's not from a common brand, but like I say, I might do that a little later. But everything else is roughly the same. I got my PC over there. What do we got playing tonight on the other screens? We have PS1 running on the 32-inch right now through a Raspberry Pi, and we have another Raspberry Pi hooked up to this 24-inch screen, and it's running Super Nintendo right now. Got some Super Mario RPG running. I think since the last time I did the video as well, I added in a PS2. So the PS2 is also hooked up to that. I have quite a library of PS2 games. The Nintendo 64 is there. And then we have our main console lineup. The Wii is still hooked up to is hooked up to the 32-inch. And then we got our Wii U, PS3, PS4, and Xbox One, and they're hooked up to the receiver. This is a new receiver actually since we last did a video. This is Pioneer Elite VSX90. It's a really good projector, or sorry, really good receiver. It has dual HDMI output, which is the main reason I got it. So dual HDMI output, I can hook everything up to that. I think it has 7 HDMI inputs total, and then so I can have it output to the 65 or the projector screen if I want to. It actually also outputs, I have a splitter on there as well, to the PC if I wanted to, but I rarely use that. Anyway, so moving on. Oh yeah, I also added a charging station. I don't know if you saw that last time. So we're charging all our controllers at once with these Nyko chargers. I really like them actually. I got them at Costco for I think $20, and they work really well. They just add little things to the back of the controllers, little USB things like that. And then for the Xbox One, they actually replace the battery packs. Oh no, that one's just sorry. Yeah, see, they replace the battery packs with those. This one I use for my PC, so I don't actually have a battery pack on it, but I put it there anyway so I don't lose it, or the kids don't lose it. Anyway, so my video today is going to be about a piece of equipment I'm adding to my arcade today. I did a video a long time ago about the extension arcade. At the time, it was a 27-inch model. I've recently sold that one. Not recently, probably about 6 months ago. Sold that unit and upgraded to this one. This is the Extension Arcade XL. This is a 32-inch unit. As you can see, it's a lot wider. Before, this joystick used to kind of stick over the edge, but now it doesn't. But it gives you a nice little gap here so you can access the buttons on the side for pinball or the coin insertion. I actually added a coin box as well, and I had to update it so that it would do Canadian quarters, but added that to it as well. So if I did want to charge people to come over and play, I could certainly do that as well. I'm usually not that mean, but I wanted a more authentic look to the arcade, and pretty soon I plan on adding some graphics and stuff to make it look more legit as well. So that's that. It has the guns as well, but that's nothing new. Anyway, so as you can see, it's playing MAME right now, and playing some Final Fight on there. But I wanted to add a little more to it, and I saw online where a guy added a PS3 to his and used it in the arcade. And as you can probably imagine, by default, these hook up to your computer by USB. By default, they're not going to be recognized by a PS3. So I ordered myself one of these. Let me just put it over here so you can see a little better. So this is called the X-Arcade X adapter. So it's a little box. It's got some lights in it. It's got an input and outputs. The input is obviously for the PS. Well, let me just see here. It actually does more than one system. This is for Xbox One. It'll do Xbox One, and it will also do PS3. So it has your PS3 USB cables, and then this end goes. Let me see here. This end goes into this guy right here, the X-Arcade Tankstick, which is what this is. So what I'm going to do is today is we're going to hook it up. We're going to plug it in to the PS3. Hopefully it all works out. We're going to try a couple games on the PS3 as if they were arcade games, and we'll see how they turn out and see how it works on a PS3, just so that we can broaden our horizons, add a little more graphical power. Of course, if you wanted to build a really nice PC, there's a lot of PC games, not only on MAME, but PC games that you could run using the Tankstick as well. That'd be really good. But I thought, you know, PS3 has an amazing library of games that you can add to it, so we're going to test out some of them with the new X-Arcade Tankstick. So let's move the arcade machine out and hook that little piece of equipment up to the PS3. Here we go. Alright guys, before I actually plug it in, I just kind of want to show you the massive wires that we have back here. So on this shelf you can kind of see what's hanging down here. What I've done is I've unhooked the X-Arcade Tankstick. This is the back of the arcade, just to kind of give you an idea. So the X-Arcade Tankstick is there, and we're going to go in behind here, and this has two outputs. Let me see if I can. So we have basically the button and the keyboard output is there. So that's what tells the computer that you're pressing the buttons, and it simulates keyboard presses, obviously. And then over here, there's my subwoofer. If you can see it here. On the other side, this cord here coming out of it, that simulates the mouse input, or the what's it called? Well, whatever it's called. The ball there in the middle. That simulates a mouse, as well as yeah, the mouse clicks as well. So that goes to USB to computer as well. We don't need that side at all if we're hooking up to the PS3, because it doesn't use a mouse, obviously. So we're gonna use this side. So I've unhooked that. Down below, let me see here. I bought a PS3 off Kijiji, or that's the Canadian version of Craigslist, basically, if you guys don't have that down there. So Kijiji, I found a PS3, a nice slim model. I found it for 80 bucks, and I'm going to use it specifically for this purpose. It seems to be in pretty good shape, and as you can see, I've already plugged it in. I've hooked it up to the TV, the monitor that's in the X-Arcade unit, and I also made a little doohickey out of the sound cables. It's coming out with the red and white RCA cables, and then I kind of made a little thing here to make it so that I could use PC speakers, the same PC speakers that are being used for the computer. And underneath, you can see that the PS3 is sitting on top of an old Dell computer that I use for MAME, which seems to work almost perfectly. But you can see a lot of wires back here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pause the video and plug it in. I'll kind of show you what it looks like after it's plugged in and how it works, and we'll take it from there. I can't do it with one hand, so I'm just going to pause it here for a second. We'll see you in a bit. Alright, we're back. So what I've done is, as you can see, the little device is there. I don't know if you can be able to tell what's going on with these wires, but you'll see the two USB cords there going to the front of the PS3, and then there's a cord coming out of it, this one here, that goes all the way up and is now plugged into the back of the X-Arcade Tankstick. So let me just reach around here. We're going to turn on the PS3. I think the power button is somewhere over here. Okay, so if we look at the box now, we have two flashing lights. similar to the well, not in color, but similar to flashing lights that you would have on a PS3 controller if it were plugged into the PS3 and not assigned to a player 1 or player 2 or whatever. So what I've done is I've printed off these instructions just to kind of give me a better idea. So we're going to focus obviously on the PlayStation 3 up here, and it gives you a couple of basically key commands that you do to kind of change some settings. So as it says here, if you press select in the square button, it basically turns the joystick into the D-pad, or if you press select in triangle, it turns this joystick into the left thumbstick. So very handy, because some games obviously will use as the main controls the D-pad, and others as the thumbstick. Even fighting games, I find some of them use the D-pad more, and some use the thumbstick. So that's a cool feature to have. You're not going to use this for games that require dual sticks, although it does give you that option. You can go into dual stick mode and use 2 sticks, but shooters would be pretty hard on something like this for sure, especially if your trigger buttons are the button, you know, furthest away from the joystick. So it gives you that option, but this is mostly for, and what I'm going to use it for is mostly for fighting games. So it gives you those options. So as it says here, select and start is the PS button. So that's basically how we get started. So if select is the button on the side and start is the start button, that should assign us a player here. So first thing we have to do, obviously, is change the source of the TV. So I still have the main on. Let me change the input here. Sorry for the glare, guys. Okay, so it's on. Go back here. So as it says, what we need to do is press select and start as the button. So the select button is down here. The start button. Oh, shoot. Okay. So that has seemed to activate this side. If we go back around to the back of the machine, you'll notice that one side has stopped flashing. So that must mean that we have assigned ourselves a controller, and the other side is still flashing because we haven't started that one yet, but that's okay. We only need one player because I have no one here. Alright, so if we move this, it should move on the screen, which it does. And if we want to select my profile, X is this button right here. Alright, so that takes us in. Okay, so everything seems to be working there fairly well so far. I guess the next thing to do is to try a game. Let's see what we got here. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Virtual Fighter 5, Ultra Street Fighter 4, that might be our choice here. Blaze Blue or Blaz Blue, whatever it's called. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Soul Calibur 4, awesome game, and Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. So we're going to try 2. Actually, probably what I'll try is these 2 here. So one from Midway and Street Fighter. So the Mortal Kombat franchise, the Street Fighter franchise, probably the most popular fighting franchises there are, have slightly different button setups to their game. So we will try each of them. This might be hard with one hand, guys, sorry. There's a disc in there. Oh, that would have been an excellent choice too, actually. Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Maybe we'll try that one in Street Fighter. Anyway, let's give it a shot. Now, when I have this back up against the wall, as you can see, I've moved it out from the wall. I will make it so that the PS3 is accessible through the coin drawer. So, I don't know if I have the coin keys on me or not. Oh, yes, I do. So normally I can just open this drawer here, collect all the quarters I've gotten. Not really, but and you can see the PS3 is accessible that way, so I won't need to move it out from the wall every time I want to switch the game or anything. So it's not that big of a deal. So I placed hello. I've placed, what game did I put in here? Street Fighter. So we've put in Street Fighter. I'm gonna tilt it back a little, see if we can get rid of some glare here. Usually you can't see much down here, so I have to turn on all these extra lights. But I have the new Samsung Galaxy S7, and it's actually really good in low light conditions, so it's a little easier to record stuff down here. Okay, so there's Street Fighter. Let me put the volume on here. And if my little sound thing worked, I should be able to. There we go. Actually, I don't want to turn it too. Okay, so Street Fighter 4, the opening cinematic is playing. So let's press our start button. We'll just go through the different, make sure all the buttons are working, and can't do too much with one hand here, but okay. So as you can see right now, the joystick is not doing anything. Oh, well, there it is. I'm not sure why that happened. I'm not sure if I just assumed that it was probably because it was assigned to the D-pad and maybe it needed to be assigned to the stick and I need to switch it, but it seems to be working okay now. So let's just go to arcade here. And difficulty, very easy. Whatever, we don't care, right? Alright, so if you remember what it said on that thing, it should be square, triangle, X, circle, R2, L2, and then L1, R1, I guess. So that would be perfect for Street Fighter. It should be light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, and then the kicks, same thing. So let's see if that's the case. So light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, perfect. Light kick, medium kick, and heavy kick. Okay, so that seems to be working good. Let's try the D-pad. Sorry, I can't get too much on the screen at one time, but the D-pad is also working perfectly. Okay, so I was able to win with one hand. So that's Street Fighter 4. Perfect game for the arcade, honestly, because it was an arcade game itself, obviously. So let's quit this game. So we're going to hold select and the start button. Oops, wrong one. So if we hold both of those down, it's going to bring up our menu because that's the PS button. So we are going to quit the game. And let's try one more, shall we? We shall try... Well, let's just try Mortal Kombat versus DC. I don't think it's as good of a game as Tekken, but Tekken being an arcade fighter as well, you can assume that it works pretty well. I'm just going to put that up there. And let's... Well, this video is way longer than I thought, so sorry if it's long and boring. Like I say, this isn't a product that's going to be ultra popular, but just thought I'd kind of give you a brief rundown on how it works, because if you do have an arcade in your house and you're sticking with the classic arcade games, you want to add a little more variety to it, a little more graphics maybe. If your PC that's built into your arcade is not as powerful, this is probably the easiest way to do it. I don't know what I paid for this adapter. I believe it was around $35, so it's really not that much of an investment, and it's well worth it. Of course, you'll need a PS3, obviously, but perhaps you have an old PS3 laying around, and you know what? You could turn the PS3 and use that as your main arcade player. You don't even need a PC in there, so this could also benefit people who are thinking about building an arcade, but not just going for the main reason you build an arcade or main software, which would be MAME. You can just put a PS3 into an arcade cabinet and use the X-Arcade Tankstick with it. You can actually buy as well. You can buy the stickers, the overlays that help point out the buttons a little more if you get a little confused. But let's do a one-player versus match here. Sure. Okay. I shall be Batman. Just get right into it here. Maybe I'll go against Superman first. That'd be cool, considering the movie comes out next week. Batman versus Superman. Well, it doesn't look like it. Alright, so again, square, X, circle, triangle, and then your R2, L2, R1, L1. So this should be high punch, high kick, low kick in the Mortal Kombat universe. High punch, kick, other kick, and high kick, sorry. I didn't do so well there, but it's working really well also. I guess Batman doesn't have a low punch, or maybe I'm thinking of just Mortal Kombat. I don't think I've really played that much of this game, but pressing this button is doing the... Actually, I have no idea how to play this game. Alright, there you go. So, again, X-Arcade X adapter is called. Goes with the X-Arcade Tankstick. Again, adds a little more variety to your arcade experience if you want to add a PS3 in there. And like I say, there's a lot of good PS3 games that would double as arcade games. This one included Tekken, Street Fighter. I'm just naming fighting games. Another game that I bought that I'm going to try in there is Virtua Tennis. Would be a good one, but I mean, again, the possibilities are endless. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. If you've built your own arcade setup with the PS3 or anything you want to tell us about it, or maybe send a link to your video, I'd love to see them. Have a good night, guys.